Win or lose, the hardest thing is you got to put it behind you. You got to learn from it. I think we learn from it, but you've been preaching and believing, and what the win does is it gives you that belief. Yeah, we can do it if we put it back together. But now, just like you come to Sunday, you can't just sit and enjoy that. That was a big win, but we got to put it behind. Psychologically, it takes more than 7 days to recover from a big win or a big loss. And guess what? We don't have 7 days. So I told our kids even today, we got to come out even hungrier. We got to come out wanting to be better. We got to correct the mistakes, because it wasn't perfect Saturday night. We were able to handle some of the things that maybe broke down on Saturday and handle it a little bit different, but we got to make those corrections, and we got to get our mindset to go on the road, to Illinois State, which in this league, those road wins, I tell our kids, you know how you felt about Saturday night? They got to feel that. They got to sing that. You should want more. Everybody wants more once they taste it. And our job is to get them back focused, improving on the areas we need to improve. And hopefully that springboards you. I always say you need that W to get that belief. We haven't lost belief, but, you keep telling them, guys, we play 60 minutes. You get what your work deserves. You look up at the scoreboard when you walk off the field, and it will tell you if you play with great effort and you execute. So those are the things that I hope that win helps us as we end our season. And we're going into week 10 too. A team that had a bye week, they had time to recover, get guys healthy, have a couple weeks to watch us, so we can't catch up on their preparation, because again, they had time to watch our games and dive into it a little early. And, for us, it's about, taking care of our kids, making sure they're physically ready, mentally ready. They got colds going around, telling them to wash hands, get sleep, hydrate, because it comes in November, and that's when you got to be playing your best football, and you got to be healthy doing that.
Prior to Saturday, you were sitting at 2-6, and some teams may have gone the other way, but you were able to head north with this team and get the win. So what do you think is the biggest stride the team has overcome maybe in the last couple of years?
I use my favorite word, Dana. My favorite word, stick-to-itiveness. That you just got to stick to it, gentlemen. And adversity sometimes brings your team closer, and when you have tough losses, and what I mean by tough losses, those in the fourth quarter where maybe you had the ball and it was a tied ball game, or in the second half and you just didn't finish, and you learn from those. And I'm glad our kids learned from those and kept improving, saw improvement each week in practice. And we're not close, we're not there yet. And we also talk about big picture. When you get to November, you got to be playing your best football. I learned that from my mentor, a guy named Jim Trussell, that you have to be playing your best football as you enter November. And right now, that's our focus. We need to be better than we were Saturday, this coming Saturday. We got to be better at tomorrow's practice in situational football than we were last week, because we're heading into that month of November. And if you're ever going to be a great program or a great team, it's those teams that are playing the best football in November that usually have a chance to continue on.
What have you seen from
Illinois State? They're physical, tough, hard-nosed. They got a quarterback that can run the ball, as well as our quarterback. He can throw the ball. They got 3 phenomenal wide receivers that will be a great challenge for us in our back end. Up front, they're a Missouri Valley Football Conference, opponent. They're going to be big. They're going to be physical. I think they go 6'7", 6'8" on the tackle spots. Defensively, Coach Back's a defensive guy. They're going to bring different pressures from different areas. They do some movements. They move. They stem. So it's a great challenge that, the preparation for it, you really get 2 days in pads to get ready to play such an opponent. And you look at the history of their program, winning football games, playoffs. So you're going into normal against a team right now as they go into November are thinking playoffs.
Michael Porter, before the season started, he was elected one of the team's captains. Had kind of a breakout season. And,
Mm-hmm.
being a local kid, how did he kind of first get on your radar? When you were recruiting him?
You know, it was funny. It's all during COVID that year, but I think he was supposed to go up to John Carroll, Division III, and, got word that, there's a possibility he would come as a walk-on here to Youngstown State. So it started there. The fun thing, and I can say this because Michael knows, it wasn't easy for Michael. He went through some tough times there during COVID, during those first two seasons, to the point where I didn't know if he'd make it in this program. But you know what? Now he's president of the Student Athletes Council, SAC. He's a captain of our football team. When we talk about you go through some hard times and you learn from it, and to see a young man, and we tell our kids, there's a difference between go hard and play hard. Go hard, you're thinking, okay, do I need to go hard this time? Or there's play hard where it's just instinct. You just every second, 4 to 6 seconds, it's everything you got. Michael Voitis is one of those young men that there's no, in practice, it's like, okay, we got to get him off because, you play hard in practice, every play. We got to make sure he gets to Saturday. So to see his growth, not only as a young man off the field and become a leader, but what he's done in football. And, we're blessed that he gets a few extra years. I think NCAA approved him. He's had some injuries too, so we're blessed that he gets a couple more with us.
These have been tight games at least the last couple of years. You're still looking for that first road win, so the importance of,
Yeah, you got to be a road warrior, the road focus. And it starts with getting on a plane. The travel is going to be a little different than normally. So logistics, and those are things we won't even discuss until we get the game plan in, but just how we're traveling, how we're getting there, the meetings, the walkthrough, you're trying to get that mindset ready of what it takes to go into a hostile environment. And it's a hostile environment. Their student section sits right behind your bench. And, I know last time we were there, I told our kid, guys, you got to ignore everything. You got to focus on the things you can control. And that's between the white lines. And, we started that talk even this week going in. And you ask any coach, I'm sure, if you ask Bubba last week going on the road, it's not easy. And you're going to get every team's best shot. And we're talking about another ranked team that's ranked in the top 20. So they're a great football program. So our job's focus, what we can do, execution, effort, probably are the two biggest things. And we got to clean up some of those mistakes. We turned the ball over twice Saturday night. And to win a game when you turn the ball over twice, that's hard to do.
Max, the last couple of years, he's been kind of overshadowed by guys like Blake Oliver,
Mm-hmm.
DJ Clark, and this year he's kind of taking that next step. What have you kind of seen from him in his growth?
Well, he blocked every play last week, and he needs the ball in his hands. We know that, but there's games like that where you're running the football, quarterback scrambling. We want to get Max the ball. We think he's that type of player that he needs touches because what he can do when the football is in his hand. But to see him, he's a perfectionist. He probably wears, you hear about kids that, even great players, they'll wear everybody out because they're always on. Where can we get better? And he's driving it in the off season, driving it. And that's one of him where, he's a perfectionist. You see it in his work and has a chip on his shoulder because probably didn't get recruited by anybody, came here because fortunately his uncle was on staff, but we're glad to have him, a great leader. And we got to find ways to keep him involved and get him the football. That's for sure.